Emily, a 24-year-old young woman, sat in her small apartment, surrounded by memories that haunted her. The walls, adorned with faded photos, revealed a happy past, but one in particular held her captive to pain: her brother, Jake, who had disappeared 5 years ago. With tears welling in her eyes, she gazed at his image, a wide smile on his face, hair tousled, and an expression full of life. The emptiness left by his disappearance was almost palpable, an open wound that never seemed to heal. "Why did you have to go, Jake?" she whispered, her hands trembling as they brushed the edges of the photograph. Frustration consumed her. Despite the relentless searches by the police and the countless theories that had emerged, no concrete leads had ever surfaced. "I can't keep going like this," she thought, resolved. The idea of seeking answers began to take shape in her mind, like a primal urge she could no longer ignore. With a deep sigh, Emily grabbed her coat and hurried out, determined to find whatever had been lost to time. Rumors about the abandoned amusement park in the city had circulated among the locals. It was said that at night, the laughter of children could be heard, like echoes of a joy that had faded away. Emily felt a mix of curiosity and fear. "Maybe there I'll find a clue, something that leads me to you, Jake," she murmured as she walked through the city towards the park. The sky slowly darkened, and a biting cold spread through the air, making her shiver. Upon arrival, the atmosphere enveloped her with an oppressive aura. The park, once vibrant, now stood in a state of decay, covered in mold and shadows. The lights that had once twinkled with joy were dark, and the rusted structures of the attractions loomed like monuments to loss. A cold wind blew, causing her hair to flutter. "Everything feels so wrong here," she thought, hesitating at the entrance. The distant laughter echoed around her, distorted and eerie, as if the place itself were alive, beckoning her inside. But her desire for answers outweighed her fear. "I need to uncover the truth," she decided, stepping into the darkness that awaited her. Emily took a deep breath as she approached the broken carousel. The vibrant colors that once adorned the horses were now faded and covered in mold. The sound of metal creaking under its weight felt like a distant lament. Around her, the darkness seemed to intensify, and the moonlight filtered timidly through holes in the walls. It was then that a figure appeared, interrupting her thoughts. A clown, with a macabre smile stretching from ear to ear, was watching her. "Hello, new visitor," he said, his voice echoing with a distorted laugh. "Are you ready to have some fun?" Emily felt a chill run down her spine, yet she tried to maintain her composure. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "What everyone wants, my dear, fun." The clown tilted his head, his eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. "But fun comes at a price. And you've already paid the first part by stepping into this place." Diverting her eyes from the clown, Emily sensed the need to distance herself from his threatening presence. She stepped away from the carousel and, in her search, stumbled upon an old map of the park discarded in a dusty corner. The letters were nearly illegible, but one section caught her attention: Zone of Truth. Intrigued, she decided to follow the markings. "No one ever comes back from the Zone of Truth," the clown murmured, now closer, as if trying to challenge her. "You must be sure you're ready for what you will discover." "I'm not afraid," Emily shouted, attempting to summon courage. But uncertainty filled her heart. Ignoring the taunt, she pressed on. As she walked, a shadow formed in front of her, and a giant teddy bear appeared, its seams ripped and eyes hollow. "You shouldn't be here," the mascot said, its deep voice resonating in the air. "The park is not kind to those who don't belong." Before Emily could react, the bear vanished in a cloud of smoke, leaving her confused and frightened. She felt that each step forward drew her deeper into a nightmare, but she knew she could not turn back. The truth about Jake was not just hidden, It was waiting for her, and she would not give up. Emily hesitated at the entrance of the game tent. The air inside was thick with a sweet, sickly smell, a distorted memory of cotton candy that now seemed more like poison. The walls were covered with old posters, some torn, others faded, but what shocked her most were the photos laid out on a table in the center. Each one showed a child, and her heart stopped as she recognized Jake's face among them. No. It can't be, she murmured, her hands trembling as she touched the image. The pain consumed her. The distorted laughter from the park echoed in her ears, intensifying her panic. Jake, where are you? Her voice came out almost as a whisper, a plea lost in the heavy air. As Emily stepped away from the table, the tent lit up with a dim, yellowish glow, and clowns began to emerge from the shadows, their painted faces twisted into grotesque expressions of joy. They surrounded Emily, laughing in a shrill and sickening manner. "Welcome to our game," one of the clowns exclaimed, his smile wide and threatening. "Are you ready to have some fun? Every mistake brings a new memory. I don't want to play." Emily shouted, but her words were swallowed by the laughter. One of the clowns stepped forward, holding a rusted game ball. "Oh, but you have no choice. The game has already started, and the only way out is to win." The clowns began throwing questions and challenges at her, and with each wrong answer, visions of moments with Jake before his disappearance flooded her mind. She found herself in the living room at home, laughing with her brother as they played video games, and then the scene shifted to the fateful day he vanished. Despair enveloped her, and she cried out, "Why are you doing this to me?" "Because you need to remember," one of the clowns replied, his voice sweet as poison. "Terror is the key. Face your fears, Emily." The memories tormented her, each laugh from the clowns echoing in her mind like a cruel reminder of her pain. Amidst the chaos, an idea began to take shape. "If I face this, maybe I can save Jake," she thought. Determination grew within her, and although fear paralyzed her, Emily knew she had to fight. Her heart raced uncontrollably as she faced the clown, whose eyes gleamed with a palpable malice. Determined to confront her fears, she followed the clown into a room filled with mirrors. Each surface reflected not only her image but also distorted and grotesque fragments of her past. She saw herself as a child, playing with Jake, the light of their smiles overshadowed by the shadow of what had been lost. "You can't escape who you are," the clown whispered, a smile making Emily's skin crawl. "Every reflection is a part of you that cannot be ignored." Emily took a deep breath, trying to focus. "I'm not afraid of you. I want to know where Jake is." Her voice sounded strong, but inside, uncertainty consumed her. The mirrors began to glow, revealing scenes from her life. Moments when she felt powerless, when loneliness wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. One image shocked her. Jake, on a sunny day, laughing and waving before disappearing. The reflection looked so real that she reached out, wishing to touch him. "Don't do it," the clown shouted, his figure distorting into a tangle of colors. "The glass won't let you in. It will only push you away." When Emily tried to touch the largest mirror, an invisible force threw her back, making her stumble. The room, now pulsating like a dark heart, seemed to close in around her. "Jake, where are you?" she screamed, desperation evident in her voice. The clown laughed, a resonating sound that reverberated off the walls. "The truth is a dangerous place, my dear. Jake is closer than you think, but you must be ready to pay the price." "I don't care about the price," Emily exclaimed, her determination renewed. "I need to know, what did you do to him?" The room trembled, and a voice echoed, deep and resonant, as if it came from all the mirrors at once. "Jake is trapped in this park, feeding off the fear of others. Your despair is what keeps him here." The words hit her like a blow. The truth surrounded her, and the feeling of helplessness consumed her. She found herself trapped in a cycle of pain and despair, and the revelation took her breath away. "No, this can't be true," she shouted, but the room continued to close in, the echoes of distorted laughter filling the air, threatening to swallow her sanity. Desperate, Emily knelt, tears streaming down her face. "Jake, I will find you. I promise." Her voice sounded weak, but there was a spark of hope. She needed to believe there was a way out, that she could save him and herself from this oppressive darkness. Emily moved forward, the sound of distorted laughter reverberating in the dark corridors of the park. With each step, the tension grew, as if the very environment was aware of her presence. She paused for a moment, listening to the echoes of suffering that seemed to whisper her name. "Jake, where are you?" The question slipped from her lips, but the answer came in the form of a macabre laugh that made her shudder. Turning to the right, she found a door marked, "Exit." Her heart raced with hope, but when she opened the door, reality hit her like a punch to the stomach. Before her was a terrifying scene. Jake was trapped in a dark space, surrounded by grotesque figures writhing in pleasure as they tormented him. He was caught in an endless cycle of forced laughter and silent tears. "Jake!" Emily shouted, reaching out as if that would be enough to pull him out of that torture. "I'm here. Let's get out together." He slowly turned his head, his eyes filled with despair and confusion. "Emily, is that you?" His voice was a distant echo, as if he were trapped in a dream he couldn't wake up from. "Yes, I'm here. I need you to come with me." The desire to save him consumed her, but Jake hesitated, the shadow of the creatures surrounding him holding him captive. "I can't, I'm part of this now." His expression was a mix of pain and resignation. Emily felt a wave of despair wash over her. "No, don't say that. We're siblings. We need to fight this together." She stepped closer, but the grotesque figures began to move toward her, their laughter becoming even more distorted. "Emily, you don't understand? I'm not who you think I am anymore. This place, it has changed me." Jake's voice trembled, and the pain in his words cut through Emily's heart. "Please, go away. Don't put yourself at risk for me." "No, I won't leave you behind," she shouted, determination boiling within her, but the laughter around them intensified, as if the park were feeding off her anguish. "Fight, Jake, I know you're still there." In that moment of emotional climax, the walls of the labyrinth began to tremble, as if the park were reacting to their struggle. Emily felt the energy around her shift, an oppressive force trying to separate them. "Jake, look at me. I'm here. You're stronger than this." Jake's eyes shone for a brief moment, and he finally saw her, not just as a distant memory, but as the sister he had always known. "Emily?" The word came out as a whisper, and hope reignited in her heart. But before they could act, the park shook violently, threatening all their efforts. The ground beneath Emily suddenly opened up, and she felt gravity pulling her into an endless abyss. The air around her grew increasingly thin, and in a terrifying instant, she was separated from Jake, his figure disappearing into the darkness. When she finally landed, the impact left her dazed, but there was no time to recover. As she opened her eyes, what she saw made her tremble. A dark space filled with lost souls floating like shadows, murmuring in despair. The laughter that had once surrounded her transformed into screams of agony and lament, echoing in her mind. "Jake!" she screamed, her voice resonating among the echoes. "Where are you?" But in response, only silence and shadows enveloped her. Then, a familiar figure emerged from the darkness. The clown, who had watched her with a twisted smile, now had a more oppressive presence. "Welcome to my realm, Emily," he said, his voice smooth yet laden with malice. "This was all just a game, and you were the central piece." "What game?" Emily asked, her heart racing. "What have you done to Jake?" The clown laughed, a sound that made the ground tremble beneath her. "Don't you see? Fear and pain are the essence of this place. Jake, He has become part of me, feeding off the terror you bring." Emily felt the truth pierce her heart like a sharp knife. "No, I won't let that happen." She stood up, determined to find Jake, but the clown moved closer, blocking her path. To free him, you must make a choice. Sacrifice your essence or accept the pain he endures. The dilemma consumed her. Sacrificing herself meant leaving Jake trapped, but freeing him meant giving up everything she was. The souls around her began to scream, pleading for freedom, and the clown's distorted laughter echoed in her mind, mingling with their cries of agony. "Emily, please." A familiar voice called out, and she realized it was Jake, lost amid the shadows. "Don't do this. I don't want you to suffer because of me." Tears streamed down her face as she hesitated. What to do? The weight of the choice crushed her, and the clown, with a wicked smile, seemed to feast on her doubt. The screen of her life, her memories, all blended into a whirlwind of emotions. The distorted laughter of the clown echoed again, and Emily felt she was at a point of no return, caught between freedom and damnation.
Leave your comment and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy and see other stories on the channel. See you in the next story, if you dare.